Imagine standing at the gates of one of the most majestic cities in the world, a city that has withstood centuries of war, intrigue, and transformation. But this time the gates may not hold. Constantinople, the shining jewel of the Byzantine Empire, is about to face its most dire challenge yet. An unstoppable force led by Sultan Mehmed II, a man with grand ambitions to transform the world. In the spring of 1453, as the armies of the Ottoman Empire encircle the great city, the future of Europe, Asia, and the entire Mediterranean world hangs in the balance. The fall of Constantinople will change everything. It will end the Byzantine Empire, reshape the map of the ancient world, and spark an age of exploration that will lead to the Renaissance and the discovery of new worlds. The siege of Constantinople is not just a battle, it is a turning point in history. A cataclysmic moment where empires rise and fall, and the old world is replaced by a new one. This is the story of that fateful siege, of the triumph and tragedy that led to the fall of one of the most iconic cities in human history. Constantinople, founded by Emperor Constantine the Great in 330 CE, was more than just a city. It was the heart of the Byzantine Empire, a powerful force that had stood for over 1,000 years. Its strategic location at the crossroads of Europe and Asia made it a center of trade, culture, and religion. Surrounded by the sea on three sides and protected by the imposing Theodosian walls, it was considered one of the most defensible cities in the world. The city's grandeur was unmatched, its towering churches, magnificent palaces, and the majestic Hagia Sophia, which dominated the skyline. Constantinople was a beacon of Christianity and civilization, an ancient fortress built upon the ruins of the classical world. The Byzantine Empire, though in decline, still held sway over much of the eastern Mediterranean. But the world was changing, and the mighty empire was weakening, beset by internal strife, economic challenges, and external threats. By the mid-15th century, the once mighty empire was but a shadow of its former self. The Ottomans, under the leadership of Sultan Mehmed II, were on the rise, and their gaze was fixed firmly on Constantinople. They had already conquered vast swaths of land in the Balkans and Anatolia, and now the last bastion of the Eastern Roman Empire stood in their way. Constantinople's defenders were outnumbered, with fewer than 10,000 soldiers to face an Ottoman army that may have numbered as many as 100,000. Yet the Byzantines had one thing that could tip the balance: their ancient walls, built to withstand even the most formidable attacks. For centuries, these walls had repelled invaders, and many believed that they would protect the city once more. But Sultan Mehmed II had something that would challenge the walls themselves, an arsenal of powerful cannons that could smash through the city's defenses, and a strategy that would leave the Byzantines with no room to maneuver. As the 15th century dawned, the Byzantine Empire was in its death throes. Emperor Constantine XI, Palaiologos, the last of the Byzantine emperors, faced a seemingly insurmountable task. His empire was crumbling, its resources drained, and its once great army reduced to a mere fraction of its former strength. The Turks, led by Sultan Mehmed II, were poised to deliver the final blow. Mehmed II, known as the Conqueror, was a visionary ruler with an unyielding ambition to make Constantinople the jewel of his expanding Ottoman Empire. He was determined to conquer the city, not just for its wealth and strategic value, but for its symbolic significance as the seat of Christian power in the East. Mehmed had already established himself as a military genius, and his empire had grown rapidly under his rule. The time had come for him to claim the ultimate prize. Constantinople's defenders were outnumbered, with fewer than 10,000 soldiers to face an Ottoman army that may have numbered as many as 100,000. Yet the Byzantines had one thing that could tip the balance: their ancient walls, built to withstand even the most formidable attacks. For centuries, these walls had repelled invaders, and many believed that they would protect the city once more. But Sultan Mehmed II had something that would challenge the walls themselves, an arsenal of powerful cannons that could smash through the city's defenses, and a strategy that would leave the Byzantines with no room to maneuver. In the spring of 1453, Mehmed II arrived at the gates of Constantinople with his massive army and a newly constructed terrifying weapon: enormous cannons. These cannons, some weighing as much as 600 tons, were capable of firing massive stone balls that could shatter the thick walls of the city. The Ottoman army also brought with them an array of siege equipment, including battering rams, towers, and soldiers skilled in mining and sapping the walls. The Ottoman siege of Constantinople was as much a technological revolution as it was a military campaign. The Ottomans had perfected the use of gunpowder and artillery, while the Byzantines, relying on their ancient fortifications, had little in the way of countermeasures. The sheer scale of Mehmed's siege weaponry was a testament to his ambition and the resources at his disposal. But it wasn't just the cannons that made the siege so formidable. Mehmed II was a master tactician, and he carefully planned every aspect of the assault. He organized a massive naval blockade to prevent any reinforcements or supplies from reaching the city by sea. He used his engineers to construct massive siege towers to scale the walls, and he sent troops to dig tunnels beneath the city's defenses. With an overwhelming force and a well-executed strategy, Mehmed aimed to ensure that the defenders of Constantinople had no hope of victory. As the siege began, Emperor Constantine XI knew that he was fighting not just for his own life, but for the survival of an entire civilization. He rallied his people, calling on soldiers from across Europe, including mercenaries and volunteers. The defenders of Constantinople were a patchwork of soldiers, scholars, and citizens, united by their determination to protect their city. Among them were Genoese crossbowmen, Venetian sailors, and soldiers from as far away as France. Despite their valor, the defenders were vastly outnumbered. The Byzantine forces were not only outnumbered in terms of soldiers, but they also lacked the artillery and the advanced siege technology that the Ottomans possessed. Constantine XI, though courageous and determined, was a man with few resources at his disposal. The Byzantine defenders did everything they could to hold back the Ottomans. They used their knowledge of the city's defenses, repairing damaged walls and launching sorties to harry the Ottoman forces. But the odds were stacked against them. As the siege dragged on, morale began to wane. Supplies dwindled and the defenders were exhausted. The shadow of impending doom loomed ever closer. The Ottoman army launched its first assault on the walls of Constantinople in early April 1453. Mehmed's forces bombarded the city with their massive cannons, shaking the very earth beneath the defenders' feet. The ancient walls, which had stood for centuries, began to crack and crumble under the force of the bombardment. The Byzantines fought valiantly to repair the damage and defend their gates, but it was clear that the Ottomans were determined to breach the city. The naval blockade cut off any hope of reinforcements or supplies from the outside world. The only way to survive was to hold out, but as the days wore on, it became increasingly clear that the defenders could not outlast Mehmed's relentless assault. Despite their superior knowledge of the city's fortifications, the Byzantines were unable to halt the Ottoman advances. The walls, once thought to be impregnable, were slowly giving way. The end was drawing near, and Constantinople's fate seemed sealed. After weeks of relentless bombardment, the unthinkable happened. One of the city's most vital walls, the Theodosian walls, was breached. The cannons had done their work. The once impenetrable defenses were no match for the massive artillery that Mehmed had brought with him. The breach in the walls marked a turning point in the siege. Ottoman soldiers poured into the city, clashing with the defenders in desperate street battles. The Byzantine soldiers, fighting for their lives and the survival of their culture, made their final stand. But the odds were overwhelming. As the Ottomans advanced deeper into the city, Constantine XI and his soldiers fought fiercely, but they were being driven back. The defenders were forced to retreat into the inner city, where the final battle would take place. The walls were no longer a shield. They had become a prison. The final hours of the siege were chaotic and brutal. The Ottomans, having breached the walls, now fought their way through the city, sparing no one in their path. The defenders, though resolute, were vastly outnumbered and outmatched. Emperor Constantine XI led his troops in one last, desperate charge to hold back the invaders, but the weight of the Ottoman forces proved too much. As the sun set on May 29, 1453, the city of Constantinople fell. The once great city, with its towering walls and magnificent structures, was reduced to chaos. Emperor Constantine II, realizing that all hope was lost, reportedly died in battle, fighting to the bitter end. The fall of Constantinople was a profound event with far-reaching consequences. For the Byzantine Empire, it was the end of an era. The city, once a beacon of Christian civilization, became the capital of the Ottoman Empire. The Christian world mourned the loss of the city, and the Orthodox Church was forced to submit to the authority of the Ottoman Sultan. The capture of Constantinople also marked a shift in global power. The Ottomans, now in control of a vast empire that spanned 3 continents, became a dominant force in the Mediterranean and beyond. Their influence would shape the course of world history for centuries. The fall of Constantinople had ripple effects across Europe. The closure of traditional trade routes to the east pushed European powers to search for new ways to reach the riches of Asia. This set the stage for the Age of Exploration, as navigators like Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama sought new paths to the east. The Renaissance, fueled by the influx of Greek scholars and knowledge into the West, was born from the ashes of the Byzantine Empire. Mehmed II's victory also heralded a new era of Ottoman power, which would last for centuries. But the fall of Constantinople also marked the end of an ancient world. The last remnants of the Roman Empire, extinguished by the might of the Ottoman cannons. As we reflect on the fall of Constantinople, we cannot help but wonder how different history might have been had the city held out. What if the Byzantine Empire had survived? What if the Renaissance had begun in a world still dominated by Eastern Christianity? The world that emerged from the ashes of Constantinople was forever changed, shaped by the forces of war, conquest, and exploration. The city of Constantinople, now Istanbul, stands as a testament to the enduring power of history. The echoes of its past continue to reverberate, reminding us of the fragile nature of empires and the transformative power of history's most cataclysmic events.